the talk to Sander. Sander belongs to the University of Twente, and we worked with Sander and Mara Aspinall, who is also the president of DxInsights in the United States. So the idea was to develop the first and the biggest European knowledge center on personalized medicine. So this is back to the mission of EPEMED, and that is what we wanted to share with you today. The press release has been sent today regarding this initiative, and so then we'll, after this presentation, we'll take a few questions. We are a bit behind schedule, so we'll take a few questions if you are not too tired, and before letting Martin make the conclusion. So Sander, please.
So thank you for the introduction, and thanks to you that you're still here on the last presentation of the last session. So unfortunately Mara couldn't be here, so I will present it in her, for her also. As already being said, EPIMED tries to advance personalized medicine in Europe. And to come back to the last point, we like to provide unique and high-value insight and also targeted resources. And that's therefore we developed this. So we've came to the conclusion also today with our previous speakers that diagnostics are not appreciated today. 65% of all medical decision-making is based on diagnostics, but just 2% of healthcare spending is based on diagnostics. So that can mean two things. Either way, diagnostic has good value, or the value isn't understood by the clinicians or by decision makers, by regulatory people. So there's need to be done. So, as being said before by one of the previous speakers, the promises of biomarkers are still developing. There are thousands of biomarkers claimed in literature. Almost 150,000 publications are done, but only around 100 to 150 biomarkers are routinely used in the practice. So there's a huge gap here. So there's an industry challenge. There's a lack of understanding of the potential of diagnostics and personalized medicine, which is in a rather big field of clinicians, of regulators, of researchers, but also in healthcare systems, as discussed before, with administrators, with politicians, but also with patients. So I think we covered the whole subject of today, but there still is the lack of understanding of the potential of diagnostics and personalized medicine. But the diagnostic tools are rapidly improving today. In the past, we had macro-level testing to show whether there is or there isn't a disease. And the disease was qualified by location and size. Today, we're going to molecular-level testing, which means that the disease is defined by an individual's biology, or DNA, or tumor, or virus, and we have tests to subcategorize these diseases. If we go to tomorrow, to the future, we like to see precision testing, multi-technology platforms for analytic validity, multi-gene and multi-protein signatures will be the standard. We have increasingly sophisticated diagnostic imaging, and more importantly, the last point, it should be delivered rapidly to physicians and patients. So to combine all of this together, about 100 years ago, we had diagnostics 1.0. Or is there any disease? We moved to diagnostics 2.0. What kind of disease is there? And today, as we are now, we can categorize subtypes of diseases. But if we go to tomorrow and the ultimate vision, so we want to identify risks for patients and we want to proactively manage diseases. So therefore, with EPIMED, we developed the European Knowledge Center in collaboration with DxInsights. Which is a centralized resource about and for the European diagnostics, personalized medicine, clinical research and commercial community. So as I'm here today, Mara would love to be here, but I've incorporated a quote of her. Without education and knowledge, we will not make progress in getting respect and better reimbursement for diagnostics. And I think we can all agree with that today. So what I'd like to do with you is just take a quick look throughout our database, which we developed in the past few months. So I think you're all familiar with this page. It's the web page of EPIMED. Maybe you've seen it. And If not, I hope you will do after this presentation. And there is something new on the top of this, and that is the EPEMED-DxInsights. And if we click on that, you go to the database, which we developed over the past few months. First of all, there's an introduction what EPEMED does in collaboration with DxInsights, and we started it on the 13th of November, which is just today, so it means that today it will be live after this presentation. And we focused on a few different subjects, few different topics, as seen here. We have the clinical and research centers, the industry reports, educational programs, which have something to do with personalized medicine, a regulatory and reimbursement section, other organizations besides EPEMED, and some merger and acquisition data, because there's a lot of money coming through the industry. So the first section, clinical and research centers, is shown here. Some countries are highlighted. If you click on one country, for instance the Netherlands, as we're in here now, you get an overview of a few reports which are there for specifically for the Netherlands, a few personalized medicines or diagnostics initiatives. The same goes for the UK. There are some more, also the stratified medicine program, for instance, and the report which has been told about before. And for instance, in France, we have the HIS, as said before by our French speakers. So if you go to industry reports, we incorporated only the recent industry reports from 2009 till now. And if we click, for instance, on 2014, we have a report from Frost & Sullivan and from Oracle, but also from rather large organizations. There are reports from PwC, McKinsey, etc., etc. So it has a broad overview of all reports which have something to do with personalized medicine and companion diagnostics. So there are some educational programs which are collaborated for diagnostics or personalized medicine, and it is whole. One is the International School for Biomedical Diagnostics, and one is an open course in genomic and precision medicine. And again, if you click on the file, you can download it if you're logged in the EPEMED website. So for regulatory issues and reimbursement, as our previous speaker just told us, in Europe it's quite different to get the market access, and there are quite a few hurdles in languages, etc. So there is a specifically topic on EU-wide legislation, which has the directives, which have something to do with in vitro medical devices, what kind of working groups there are in the European Commission, what joint position statements, some ATMP regulations. So a broad view of what the EU legislation looks like, and also some EU-wide reports. The EU Commission does a lot with the Amex technologies and diagnostics, and also some reimbursement issues are on here. Furthermore, other organizations besides EPEMED, there are other organizations who do something with personalized medicine or diagnostics, which are listed on here. And what's really interesting, we collaborated with Ernst & Young, and they gave us the merger and acquisition data in the field of diagnostics and healthcare sectors. And we made some interesting graphs about how the average value of merger and acquisition deals are different between continents, between countries, and what the average deal value is per sector. So there is a lot of information for all of you, I think, for all the speakers which there are today. So it's really interesting to take a look at, in my opinion. And also, we're just started, so we invite you to leave your feedback over here with us, so we know what you think of our database. And to conclude with a statement of Hippocrates, it is more important to know what sort of person has a disease than to know what sort of disease a person has. And I think that sums up perfectly what personalized medicine stands for. So that was, in short, our database. As said before, it's a centralized resource about and for the European diagnostics and personalized medicine, clinical research and commercial community. So in fact, all of you, I guess. So I invite you to take a look at the database, and if there are any questions, you can direct them to me or to Mara. So that's it for today.